Whatever your thoughts are on Range Rovers, there's no denying the Range Rover Sport SVR is something you gawk at as it thunders past you, either in disgust, envy, or maybe a bit of both. The SVR is Land Rover's attempt at making the Range Rover Sport sporty by nature and not just by name. So let's see if they've done that then. My name's Tom, and you're watching Paragon Cars. Let's go. We're on Instagram, so if you want to see our latest and greatest stock, daily updates and behind the scenes footage, click the link in the description to follow us now. This facelifted Range Rover Sport SVR has a 5-litre supercharged V8, making 575 horsepower and 700 Nm of torque. It's likely this is the last supercharged V8 you'll see in Range Rovers now, as they're starting to use the 4.4-litre V8 from BMW. Anyway, before the Germans invade the engine bay, let's do the 30 to 70 sprint and see how she goes. Well, of course, it's impressive. We managed a time of just 3.82 seconds, which is, wait a sec, that's exactly the same time as the old one, even though it's supposed to have more power. Maybe the filters in the exhaust have something to do with that? Inside the facelifted version, you get a much needed overhaul of the interior. The screens are sharper and quicker to respond, and even though the dash is perceivably the same, it does seem to respond just a tad quicker. The only thing I don't like is the touch-sensitive buttons on the steering wheel. Sure, make them look nice, but don't make the buttons you accidentally bash into constantly touch-sensitive. Not a good idea. The rest of the interior is lovely though. Swathes of leather and Alcantara massage your eyes into making you believe you really are more important than anyone else. And of course you are, because you have a fridge. And it's actually pretty good, to be fair. Right, the rear. It's good in terms of room, but for some reason, I don't know, I just expected more. The only other complaint I have is that the cup holders in the rear armrest don't have a cover, so your arms do just kind of droop into them. Boot-wise, this thing is a beast. Nice big square shape, ability to lower the suspension to get heavier items in, and wait, what? You have to manually fold the seats down? What kind of peasantry is this? Jokes aside, it is very practical, although the lack of underfloor storage is a tad annoying. Right, road time. Let's rumble. Oh, it's just got so much torque. It's like Ford Focus RS quick. Grip is nice. It's got that lovely mini balance chassis feel. Tap on the brakes, get it to rotate. Now, we have actually reviewed one of these before, but that was the 2016 model, which had the older interior, and that particular car had the body kit on it and a really loud exhaust. So if you want to go and see that review, I will put a link in the top right hand corner for you. But if you want to see this one, this is the bog standard Range Rover SVR, if you can call it bog standard. And round town, apart from that lovely supercharged V8 noise, it feels like a totally regular Range Rover. Suspension feels just as soft and compliant in comfort mode, and you still get that big Range Rover commanding driving position. Steering is nice and light, brake pedal, throttle pedal are nicely weighted. One thing I do actually really like about Range Rovers as well is their steering wheels are nice and thin. Some manufacturers, e.g. BMW, could certainly learn from that. In terms of interior quality, it's actually fairly good. Electronics quality could be better, so like responsiveness of the screen could be a little bit nicer. It's just, it feels like it's about 3 to 4 years out of date, whereas stuff like the latest BMW and Audi systems, you just press a button and it's just like a normal iPad. Basically, it just responds instantly. This has a pretty low refresh rate, but it's a lot more livable than the older system is, I have to say. One thing I love about supercharged engines is just how smooth they are. When you're low down in the rev range, you just get this almost electric pickup. because it is just instant. That beeping noise, by the way, is the Range Rover telling me there's a speed camera coming up. And it's actually pretty accurate, even on the M25 with the variable speed limit. It tells you where every single one of those is. So you don't have to really be afraid of getting caught out there. Oh God, this is nice though. It's comfortable, it's quiet. Yet, it's an absolute monster. If it's anything like the previous one we reviewed, it's going to get a little bit sideways later. One other major improvement for this facelifted car is the heads-up display. So in the old one, you got like red lettering, which it looked like it had been put in aftermarket. It really didn't look like Range Rover themselves, or sorry, Land Rover themselves had actually put that in. If I squat down, you may be able to see it just about. I mean, it looks like the latest Audi system. It's really nice, actually. In terms of visibility around town, it's pretty good. Because you've got square corners, it's actually really easy to judge where the corners of the car are. So even though it's big, it's actually fairly easy to drive around town. What isn't easy, unfortunately, is the parking, because this is a big boy. Because you've got wide wheel arches and just an overall huge car, you need every ounce of help from cameras and parking sensors that you can get. Another neat trick of these cars is that the wing mirrors auto dip to a level of your choice when you put the car into reverse, and it just makes parking a little bit easier. And you'll see now, even though I'm technically in the space, got to go as far back as possible. There we go. You open the door, try getting out of that in a hurry. It's pretty difficult. So yeah, if you're living in London, this is actually a little bit too big. Maybe go with the Range Rover Evoque. Keep this one for the countryside. Right, let's reset our MPG. Currently doing 9.3 to the gallon. That is hilarious. And see how this thing responds out of a junction. Wait for this S3 that's been through Bradford. Foot down. Way. Yeah. I mean, it's a 575 horsepower V8 with a supercharger on it. I mean, there's nothing to complain about there. Even the start-stop system is pretty good. Usually, I would get that coded out, but the owner of this car hasn't, because it is just kind of annoying, really. And if you're buying a car like this, I don't think you're particularly concerned about the environment. Right, we're going to head to the motorway now to have a quick chat about sort of comfort, road noise, wind noise, then do a little MPG test. Apparently we can get 28 miles per gallon out of this thing, which sounds like absolute tosh, but the previous car got 30 in our review, so I was very impressed with that. I'm going to sit as close to 70 or at 70 and see what it does. Before that though, we're going to take it to a roundabout and give it some, shall I say. Right then, into dynamic. There we go. And gearbox over into sports. So the good thing about this car, the ZF 8-speed in it, is a wonderful bit of kit. Perceivably as fast as a dual clutch in my mind. Just a fantastic system. Exhaust valves are open, get a couple of burbles, pop some bangs and stuff. I'm not going to turn the traction off yet, because it's a bit leery, this thing. Whee! You see, the four-wheel drive system just tried to pull me around the roundabout then. Oh yes! That's the one disadvantage with this car, and I noticed it in the previous one, is that the handling is still very much Range Rover. So you do actually have to have your wits about you with this thing, because it does weird things in a corner. Sometimes you can put your foot down mid-corner and it'll, you know, straighten itself out. Then other times it wants to just keep going around that corner. Kind of like a Nissan GTR in that regard. You know, then sometimes it wants to do a massive power slide. It can't make its mind up. Anyway, let's go into eco. I can't believe this thing actually has an eco mode, but it does. and we're going to see what MPG we can get on the motorway. Hopefully we can get the 28 MPG out of this thing, because then it's not that bad for the environment. Okay, then coming onto the motorway, what is eco mode like? Just give it a tickle of the throttle. Downshifts 1 gear, and this is where big power means bliss. Every input you do is just small, not having to put any effort into anything. It's just easy. One other thing that's easy about driving this thing on the motorway is this has adaptive cruise control and lane assist. So you just press this button here, set it to the speed you like, and then you can change how close you want it to get to the car in front of you, and that's it. You just chill out then, basically just let the car drive itself. Pretty neat really. In terms of road noise and wind noise, it's very quiet in here, almost zero road noise, air suspension ironing out all the bumps for me in comfort, and wind noise is nearly non-existent, which you think it wouldn't be for a car that's, I mean, like a slab-sided barn, but windscreens are acoustic glass and you've got double glazing on the side, so that really does help. You do notice it if you're going above the speed limit, e.g. on the Autobahn in Germany. Wouldn't do it in the UK, obviously. And yeah, I mean, it's so nice to drive on the motorway. Oh, by the way, I have changed video settings on the GoPro for this bit, so let me know in the comments below which settings you prefer, the sort of wider but less stable angle, or the closer or zoomed in version but more stable. This is a GoPro Hero 11 with horizon lock on, so just let me know what you guys think. Wider angle or more zoomed in angle but more stable. Right, we've got about 20 miles on the motorway. Let's see how this engine performs. Right then, how did we do? Not that well. 23.6 miles per gallon. So in the previous review of that Range Rover we did, I was driving sort of like 56 to 70 miles an hour, whereas I maintained 70 pretty much the whole way actually. M25 was fairly clear today, and this is more of a realistic figure. So I think if you got the adaptive cruise control on and you're just sitting at 70 miles an hour, you're going to get between like 22 to 26 mpg, which, I mean, is expensive really. It's an expensive car to run, but it's a supercharged V8, so it's to be expected. In terms of range though, this is where the SVR is pretty good, because you've got a huge fuel tank. I believe it's actually above 100 litres in this, so even though we only did 24 miles per gallon, we only use like one little pixel of fuel on our tachometer there. So for long journeys, it's actually not that bad. It's just expensive. Anyway, let's get it back into dynamic, get the traction off, and see what this thing's like. Let's give it some. Very nice. Quite a lot of traffic today, so I do have to be careful. But we can get a flavour of what this thing's like. Certainly sounds good. Going to start with the pan roof closed, then open it and see what happens. Oh, God, that noise is good. Got the G meter up as well, see how many G's we can pull. Not that many. Oh! It's like driving thunder. What do we do? 0.93. I reckon you could break a G if you were really trying. Only for like a split second though. Right, let's get the pan roof open. Not that open, just a little bit open. Yep, there we go. Right, test the brakes. The weird thing is, they feel spongy, but they're really effective. It's like a strange combo, that. Let's get a bit of noise through here. Oh, that's meaty, isn't it? That is meaty. have to say this particular V8 does sound better than the German ones. Maybe not the old 6.2 AMG engine, but it certainly sounds better than the new like 4-litre twin-turbo engines, I think. God, the handling's very spicy in this. It wants to sort of go all over the road for some reason. It's not like a Porsche where you can drive it smoothly and, you know, dance it around a roundabout. This is very much just point the steering wheel where you want to go and it's going to go there, whether you want it to or not. Certainly got enough poke. Nice. And that's the fun over. That's surprisingly quick, this thing. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh, nice pops from the exhaust there. They're like really guttural. It's almost like it's burping. So handling wise, it's not close to a Porsche really. It's still very much a Range Rover with the big engine, and they've sort of made the suspension as adept as they can to handle the mass. But it's twitchy. If you want to see just how twitchy it is, I'll show you a little clip here actually. Oh wow, the rear end moved then. Whoa, what? But yeah, as you can see, it's a fairly spicy handling car. Right, let's take it to a little B road and see how it does there. Alrighty, let's give it some. See what I mean about it wanting to just keep going where it's going? You have to actually force the steering to come back on you. Suspension controls the mass well down a B road. Steering is interesting. It reminds me a lot of a Nissan GTR. It just wants to go where it wants to go. Oh my goodness. Heads-up display helping me out there. Whoa, hard on the brakes. Right, sort of launch. Obviously you can get to 60 before this corner. It's a very easy car to place, this actually. Over big bumps like that, it just about does a good enough job of controlling its mass. Gearbox, again, fantastic, can't fault it at all. Car stays relatively flat as well. It's got all the characteristics you'd expect of a proper sort of sports SUV, but there is just this element of old, like ladder frame chassis feel, even though it isn't one. It's very odd. Very much analog 4x4 is the sort of vibe it gives off. One thing to note as well, if you have one of these, a lot of cars you'll have a traction control button like this, where you press it once and it will turn the traction control off, and then if you hold it down for 5 seconds it will turn everything off. This is different. You just press it like that. Now everything's off. So be careful if you do that, because there's no assistance now. You are totally by yourself. See what I mean? So aggressive. That's one thing you don't get in the German cars. They're very smooth and progressive. This not so much. It's just ridiculous. Oh god. You have to be so careful with this thing, man. Oh my goodness. Radios come on. I need to change my trousers. It does behave very strangely in a corner. You know, most German cars feel quite neutral. They tend to oversteer and then snap back to going straight. This oversteers and then goes, oh, you want to do donuts all of a sudden, even though you're going 80 miles an hour through a corner. But yeah, just be careful if you got one of these. So then, time for a conclusion, I suppose. Do you know what? I think my previous conclusion still stands. This car isn't for everyone, as it does attract attention at the country club. And sadly, even though it's a Range Rover, it's the wrong kind of attention. But why give a damn about what other people think, eh? Not many people get to experience a near 600 horsepower luxury SUV. And I think if they did, they'd look at ones driving by with envy instead of hatred. As always, I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, give it a like, and why not subscribe? Because not only can you see more content like this, you can see everything we have for sale. My name's Tom, and you've been watching Paragon Cars. I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.